This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to another bonus edition of Wrestling Insider's Current Events, where we break down WWE SmackDown from underneath the Thunderdome at Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, Friday, October the 23rd, 2020. Don't forget, tonight at 8 p.m., we go live for another pay-per-view watch-along. This time, it's Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory. We see what the former TNA is up to at what is traditionally their biggest live event of the year. Then at 11 p.m., fire up WWE Network and join us for a WWF Bad Blood 1997 pay-per-view watch-along, an event that featured the first ever Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in what was a big night in wrestling, both in and out of the ring. The seeds were being planted for the Attitude Era. WCW Nitro was beating Raw handedly in the ratings each week. It was a very interesting time in the King of Sports. For those of you that joined us last night live in studio, both on YouTube and Facebook with Tony Atlas, thank you kindly. We had a lot of fun. We look forward to doing it again in November. Those that contributed with a super chat are the diesel fuel we need to keep these programs going. Believe me, as always, we're very interested to hear your thoughts on SmackDown from last night, folks. We're hoping the whole gang is here. We got Slick Rick. We got Tina. I don't know about Maria Davis. I understand our dear close personal friend Maria Davis is headed to the Pittsburgh Steelers game on Sunday. I don't know if she's doing any pre-gaming tonight or what, but we'll get Trigger Trey. We'll have Ken. We'll have all of the Kevins with us. We got Big Ant from the Thunder Valley, Will Cortez, Lars, and all of the regulars we enjoy hanging out with. And after last night's show with Tony Atlas, we had a heck of a lot of new friends. Hopefully they subscribed and will be tagging along with all the future episodes we have coming up. Whether you're watching the live premiere with us Saturday at 7 p.m. on our SmackDown review or in the archives, share your thoughts on the two shows using a 1 to 10 scale. 1 being the worst, obviously on the flip side, 10 being the best. The more interactive we are, the better we're able to gauge what you think of what's going on in the King of Sports right now. There are some fans that love it. There are some fans that detest it. We'd love to know what your point of view is as we continue to go forward with these now 3 weekly reviews of 4 major league shows. That's a lot of talking, believe me. You should see how much water I go through in a week. I should own stock in Poland Springs. Let's give our friends a few minutes to join us for the live premiere, then sneak in a couple of cheap plugs, news, and notes as Chairman Manolian continues his around-the-clock meetings in terms of our Boston Wrestling MWF live events down at Memorial Hall. We're in the middle of perhaps the biggest video production week in our 19-year history. My sleep has been all over the place trying to get these bad boys produced for the hundreds of thousands of you that enjoy them this month. But at the end of the day, we need your help. No matter what social media platforms you use, please share the links to these videos so we can grow the family, so we can grow the content, so we can bring more superstars into the studios to document history of professional wrestling. We can't do it without you. I'm only one man, believe it or not. And if you ask Linda Mirade, she might even say I'm not even one full man. That's a different story for a different time. Just as important, if you want early ad-free access to all of our weekly Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interviews, our world-renowned studio shoot interview DVD series, and to simply help keep wrestling legends working, join our growing family over at Patreon, patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Forgo a cup of coffee at Starbucks and enjoy what I believe is now over 100 programs. You'll never have the pro wrestling blues with Boston Wrestling Sports. I believe the next 6 Wrestling Insider episodes are already available, along with a Patreon exclusive with Marty Jannetty that you won't find on YouTube. Our big goal by the end of 2020 is to have 100 regular Patreons. With the quality and quantity of the shows we produce, I'm very confident we can get the job done because of fine folks like you. Tomorrow morning, Sunday at 10 a.m., we're back with another Wrestling Insiders flashback episode before we go live, just a little bit before 7 p.m., for a WWE Hell in a Cell pay-per-view watch-along. The WWE and Universal Championships will be on the line inside the cell, but even though we're, just about 24 hours away from the pay-per-view, how many matches have been announced? 5? It should be interesting nonetheless. Then at 11 p.m., WWE Hall of Famer Brutus, the Barber Beefcake, is back in studio for Wrestling Insider Special Edition, where he continues his in-depth look at the year that was WWF 1988. And if you think that's a lot, wait until you hear the big announcements about what we have coming up in the months of November and December to wrap up what has been a crazy 2020. Fans keep asking me about our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, an event that means so much to me. Obviously, we can't have a live wrestling event this year, but we have some big plans in the works to do something online to continue our annual mission of helping update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house. It takes a lot for John Cena Sr. and I to get along about something, but the toy drive is our common ground. I continue to talk to superstars of every era around the globe about helping with the toy drive this year. Big news is coming, maybe in a matter of days. With so much going on, I could easily go for an energy drink now filled with sugar, but what I really need is a couple of hits of that Boost Oxygen where I turn into Bob Snow from Reno Chastain in a matter of seconds. I go from alert. I'm ready to talk with Alex Trebek on Jeopardy. If you haven't tried Boost yet, you should. It's available at fine retailers everywhere, as well as boostoxygen.com. Whether you enjoyed SmackDown last night and want to create a little WWE mayhem of your own, or you feel like maybe you could do a better job than WWE Creative, let me tell you, the brand new WWE 2K Battlegrounds game is available now. For complete information on WWE's awesome new offering, head on over to www.2k.com/battlegrounds. Little Marty, Junior Ambassador Devon Brent, says it's the best WWE video game that's been released in years. And believe me, this kid knows his video games. Every time I look at my wallet, my credit card statements for, I guess it's called VC. That's what the cool kids call it now, for video game currency. He knows his video games, and if you know where I can get him a PS5 for Christmas, please hook a brother up. With the holidays coming up, speaking of the devil, it's never too early to start shopping. The eBay store is on fire. Links in the description box below. We have an awesome collection of rare autographed wrestling memorabilia for sale that includes video shout-out thank yous from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders as our thanks for helping keep our shows going. Don't forget that Tony is available for commissioned artwork, prints, personal phone calls, cameo-style videos, autographs, and more. Finally, we have a really cool WWE t-shirt bundle fundraiser going on right now at bostonwrestling.com/shirts.html. For the regular price of a t-shirt on WWE Shop, you get not only the shirt, but you get a WWE cup. You get a mystery autograph photo, as well as an on-air shout-out from Tony Atlas thanking you. We've got brand new shirts of Bray Wyatt, The Undisputed Era, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and more. Help the show. Get yourself some new swag. All right, and now let me get Dave.
Hello.
Good morning.
What's up, buddy?
Are you working?
No, I'm all done.
Oh, you're all done. Okay. All right. I already
going at 5 a.m. So I was just wanted to make sure I'd be home, like around somewhere where I could do it.
Oh, so you don't do 8 hours on Saturday?
No, I just had to go in for a few hours to finish up some work.
Oh, that's good. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I did the long intro already to save your ears.
Oh, shit. All right.
All right. We go in 5, 4, 3. All right, wrestling fans, Matt Degnan is still peeping at leaves and other things all over the Northeast, so we're back with longtime Millennium Wrestling Federation executive going all the way back to 2008, a man that if he comes to your house trick-or-treating, make sure you have the dark chocolate ready. We're talking about Mr. Dave Carter, a man that I still can't link on Facebook, but Dave, welcome nonetheless.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a great week. I enjoy doing this.
Well, I have to say I'm very impressed with myself. We were able to go live with Tony Atlas last night, not on YouTube alone, but on YouTube and Facebook. So these things that people probably found impressive back in the late 2010s, to me, are very impressive in 2020. I feel very accomplished.
That's awesome.
Well, as Tony was spewing nonsense, the October 23rd, 2020 SmackDown, it was a wild night under the Thunderdome at Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. I'm sure you have the notebook out, baby. What went down in the Thunderdome?
Well, to kick it off, we got a segment with the KO, Kevin Owens, his show that he's been doing. I thought one thing that stood out is I love when he wears the tie on the T-shirt. I think that's hilarious. It cracks me up.
I'm still laughing.
I guess you didn't like it. So, then we had DB was his first guest ever on the show. They talked about face-seeking each other in the past and everything like that. DB talks the future. Daniel Bryan talks the future of SmackDown, how he wants to highlight the best superstars. And he wants the Intercontinental title to be defended every week on SmackDown as well. Then KO talked about how he's never been a tag team champion and he would love for maybe Daniel Bryan and him to form a tag team. And then right then, obviously, that just can't be it. We get Ziggler and Rude who comes out and says they're the fresh talent. They need to be in the tag team division. The Street Profits come out. They want the smoke. Nakamura, Cesaro comes out. They say they run the tag team division. And then Daniel Bryan says, let's see who the best tag team is right now. So, of course, after that, it went to a commercial, and then we came back, and they started, what do you call it? They had their, 8-man tag match? What was it? 8-man tag, right? No.
It was, yes, you are correct.
8-man tag match, yes. So, I don't know how you felt about the whole segment. I felt like it was a little long in the tooth, but I don't know.
Where do I even begin? I wish the KO show would get KO'd, but that's a different story for a different time. Maybe it's just me, but I find Kevin Owens very boring, and I find Daniel Bryan promos very boring. I enjoy his matches, but as far as his verbal work goes, it's enough to put me to sleep. I thought it was a terrible open to the show. They should put some of our Wrestling Insider talk shows in those slots. They're a hell of a lot more interesting than that. Bryan said he likes all the young stars. He wants to see the Intercontinental title defended on TV every week. Then Owens wanted to be a tag team partner with Bryan. I have zero interest in that duo. Then when they were talking about all of these young stars they want to see pushed, Ziggler and Bobby Roode come out, both of whom are older than I am.
I
mean, talk about fresh young talent. They're both in their 40s. Street Profits come out with all the explosion of solo cups. We're all over the place. Nakamura and Cesaro come out to talk about what a tremendous tag team division they have in SmackDown, and those are I think the only 4 tag teams they might have on SmackDown right now. The bell rang all of a sudden, even though Bryan and Owens weren't even in wrestling gear yet. And then we went to our first timeout.
Yeah, and what I don't understand is how did DB change into his what do you have underneath that gear? Because they came back and he was in his tights.
Yeah, he probably had it on under his gear. They probably just had him run to the side out of the range of the hard camera during the commercial.
I was just thinking to myself, usually they don't do that. Usually it'd be like after that, like, come down later on. It wouldn't be like, I don't know. I thought he would wrestle in his, dress pants or whatever.
No, it was just another one of those matches that, no authority figure authorizes, no contracts assigned. They just, the wrestlers just say on the spot, let's get it on.
Well, to talk about the match, I thought it was a good match, and it has to be. I mean, there's a lot of good talent in the ring. And who was surprising was Angelo Dawkins. Did you see him go on that little run right there? He looked very good in the ring. I don't know if you remember it or because you didn't really care about the match, but he had a nice little run, a nice few, probably 6 or 7 moveset that he had going. I thought it was pretty good. I liked how Cesaro tried to use the ropes. You don't see that enough. I kind of like that. Lots of action in it. Montez Ford hit the big splash off the top rope and won the pin Cesaro for the 3. And the Profits won. But what stood out to me was the Angelo Dawkins, like I was saying. I thought that was very good because, he doesn't get the credit like Montez Ford does. I don't know how you feel about him.
Well, I would have rather have seen the match maybe booked and advertised for next week, maybe to build up a little anticipation for it, some kind of a spooktacular 8-man tag or something like that. I thought the match was pretty good when Daniel Bryan was in it. Street Profits don't do a heck of a lot for me. I think they have a lot of charisma. I think Angelo Dawkins is really out of shape. I think he has a great amount of potential, much more than Ford does, but I don't understand why he doesn't want to look as good as possible on national television. Problem with Montez Ford is he's a great athlete, but he looks like he weighs about 115 pounds.
Right.
So I really don't buy the Street Profits as is right now. Again, I think there's something there in Angelo Dawkins. I think WWE obviously thinks the same thing as he was in developmental for an awfully long time, long before he ever got put into the Street Profits down at the WWE PC. Wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination, but at the end it was just really busy. There were spots. There were wasn't much selling. People were just flying all over the place, and Cesaro was the lucky one to take the 3 count, getting hit by the 115-pound frog splash.
One thing to add, I never really asked you. I don't know why, but I've never asked you. Do you think they're missing the boats with Cesaro?
I think they could do a little more with him than they are, but not much more. For those that think he's a top-tier world champion type guy, the wrestling ability might be there. Sure, he's excellent. But as far as the presentation, the charisma, the verbal, the look, none of it's there. So if I was going to rank him almost like as if he was in school, he's someone I'd put maybe in the B range.
Okay, because I was just curious, because everybody's always, you know what I mean, always saying they don't push him enough. You know how they are.
No, he's very good, but I mean, is that someone you're going to make a world champion? They tried. Right. I mean, they did. They put him with Paul Heyman at one point. I mean, really, what more can you try and do to get someone over as a heel?
Exactly. Oh, exactly. I totally agree with you. And then from there, I know you're going to be the same way as me on this. The Law and Otis thing. I don't understand it. Like, this was as bad as when we go back to AEW Dynamite with the Jericho MJF thing. Like, this was bad. I don't even understand what I was watching. The only cool thing was seeing Ron Simmons, and I know you probably like JBL being part of it. And he was the judge, JBL. Ron Simmons was the bailiff, and The Miz was suing Otis for the Money in the Bank. I don't even know what to really say about it. You go ahead. You take this one.
I guess maybe the only compliment I can pay it is that I didn't think it was quite as bad as the Jericho sing-along, but it was pretty close. It was complete, uninteresting waste of time. It was nice to see Ron Simmons and JBL on TV. That may have been the only thing that was worth it, but if the screen went blank, I don't think it would have been any worse than what was on the TV. It makes absolutely no sense for any of this to be happening, for The Miz to say he was disturbed physically and emotionally. It's a professional wrestling show, which at least JBL clarified at the end. But just, I was disgusted with what I saw.
Yeah, and that's what I honestly, and I was thinking about you. I'm like, I can't wait to talk about this because I knew you'd feel the same way.
And it was a show last week. I gave SmackDown an 8. So I was really high on it last week.
Yeah, so it's not even like you're just saying, all right. From there, we got Bianca Belair came out to the ring, and then it went to a commercial break. Then we came back, and we got the Street Profits, KO, and Daniel Bryan celebrating backstage. Sami Zayn came over and told Daniel Bryan, that he doesn't want him talking for him. He doesn't want to have to defend the Intercontinental title every week and things like that. I know you don't like Sami Zayn much. I know you don't think much about him. Anything to add to that?
Well, it was probably the best Sami Zayn promo I've ever seen because I kind of agreed with him. The less he's on TV, the better. But that's just one man's opinion.
Very good promo. I did put that it was a good promo, so I'm glad we did agree on
No,
that.
I didn't think the promo was anything to write home about. I was trying to be funny as far as I can't stand Sami Zayn. I think he looks pathetic. I know there are some people that think he's this remarkable wrestling talent. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't find him to be a tremendous wrestling talent. He genuinely usually bores me when he's in the ring, too. He looks pathetic. He doesn't look like he belongs in there. So to me, it's just, at his best, he's a shoulder shrug. At his worst, I want to change the channel. But I found amusement in that promo that he kind of agreed with me that, no, he shouldn't be on TV every week.
Okay, and you would find amusement of that, so that doesn't surprise me. Then from there, we got the match. Bianca Belair was in the ring for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah. Bianca Belair versus Zelena Vega. It was a quick match. Belair looked strong in it, and she is strong. And Bianca won. I enjoy Bianca Belair. I see a future with her. I think she's really talented, and if she's pushed the right way, she could be like a Becky Lynch of the women's division. I don't know what your vision is of her.
The less, the better would be the vision I'd like to see.
You don't like her? You don't think she's talented?
You know what the problem is? I like the vignettes they created of her the past couple of weeks. The problem was those should have ran before WrestleMania, not 7 months after her debut.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But you don't see anything with her?
It's not to the point yet where I want to change the channel when I see her come up. So I'm still giving her a chance, I guess is the best way to put it, for my viewing pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I'm not gonna...
My big thing about the whole match was, and I'm sure there was something on Raw that was the same way. I think it was Miz and Morrison that fell into the trap last week. But they send these talents out so early for the matches, then they go to a commercial break, then they come back to a WWE commercial. Then they go to a vignette in the back, and it's almost like you forget that Bianca Belair was even in the ring getting ready to start a match 10 to 15 minutes earlier. I mean, that's a long wait in the ring.
Oh, it's true. Yeah,
I don't know if that's done in a way where it's, oh, geez, well, you know what? They'll stay tuned if we introduce them, and then we give everybody else all the commercials and our own infomercial and our own vignettes in the back. Everybody will want to stay tuned because they'll want to see what's happening. I think just the opposite. I think people they lose track of it. It's so long, and it may be something where people turn out. I don't know. Tune out, I should say.
What about Zelena Vega? Do you think she should just stay managing?
I liked her an awful lot as a manager. I thought she was very effective as a manager. I think she's very appealing on the eyes. I think she's very good verbally. She's not, even for a lady, she's not very big. So I thought the managerial role really suited her. But, it's just like with Deborah McMichael and she had on the Melrose Place, Amanda, whatever her name was on there, Heather Locklear outfits. They had to get Deborah McMichael in the ring with the puppies to become women's champion. So they can't resist putting a woman in a ring for some reason. And I'll say this, and I don't want to compare Zelena Vega's wrestling talent to Deborah McMichael's, but I just think she was better in the role as a manager. I think that suited her more. I think they could have got more mileage out of it. Not every woman needs to be a combative wrestler. I don't know. That's just one man's opinion.
No, I agree with you. I can't deny. From there, we got a video package of the Freak Lars Sullivan. And then after that, it went to Shorty G in the middle of the ring. He called out Lars and wants to prove that he belongs on SmackDown, belongs in the WWE. From there, I mean, do you want me to just go right into the match?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then we got Lars Sullivan versus Shorty G. Shorty G got a little bit of offense in, but not much. Lars snaps. Lars snapped and went crazy, beat the crap out of him, hit him with the freak accident. And Shorty G, after the match, obviously got beat. Shorty G, after the match, got on the mic and said he quit. So we got two guys that quit the wrestling this week in WWE television. What do you think about it?
They just continue to embarrass poor Chad Gable, a world-class athlete. I haven't found that funny. I haven't found that amusing. I think they used Lars Sullivan again to perfection. I think that's what AEW should have done with Miro from the beginning. Instead of having him wear pink Mickey Mouse shirts and playing video games with Kip Sabian. I could really go off on that. Then you had the female ref that was there that looks like John Candy. Every time she's in the ring, it just, I lose interest in the match. It has nothing to do with being quote-unquote sexist. It's just that in 2020, no physical harm is going to come from a man putting their hands on a female referee intentionally or accidentally. It's just how it is. And it eliminates a threat, a potential threat of violence where the referee definitely is not going to be struck during that athletic competition. I think that actually has some value to it. And when you see John in there as the referee, she just takes it down a notch for me. I don't know about you, but with Shorty G, what's that?
I love how you call it John.
Well, they don't give them names anymore, dude. I don't think they really address the referees by name.
No, but it's just funny.
And to me, she kind of looks like John Candy when he was an Uncle Buck. So she's John to me. But, she got the 3 counts, so she did her job, I guess. I don't know if the best thing for Shorty would have been to send him to NXT for a fresh coat of paint. Obviously, the man wasn't going to quit. He wasn't drafted, right?
No, that's what he said.
Yeah, he was a big free agent signing. That's right.
That's what he said.
I don't know. The announcers cared so little. Within seconds of him quitting, they started to push that Murphy and Rollins was coming up after the commercial break. Instead of saying, oh, my God, Shorty G quits, they gave it as much of a shoulder shrug as the fans at home, which is why the viewing audience is in the toilet in 2020, because they don't make anything seem important anymore.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I totally agree. I was like, oh, come on. But what are you going to do? From there, we got Seth Rollins' backstage interview. He talked about the match with Murphy, and that it just basically went on about how
very boring.
Yeah, I don't like. Sometimes it just doesn't mean. Why can't we just go into the match? You don't always have to. You know what I mean? I feel like it just sometimes you don't need that. Just go to the match if you're going to do the match. But we got that. I don't know if you have anything other than boring.
I had no idea who the new Bozak was that interviewed Seth Rollins, another phony sounding, forgettable female announcer. Where did that one come from?
No idea. Alyssa, yeah. I don't even remember last name, but her first name was Alyssa. I don't even know. I have no idea.
Well, yeah. I have a feeling she won't be around long, but
I didn't even see her on NXT, so I don't even know where she's from at all. But
no, I don't remember her from NXT either. That's why I was I kind of scratched my head for a second before I realized I didn't care.
Okay. And then before they went to commercial, they showed Heyman and Reigns in a room. I'm guessing backstage, Roman pushes the food away. I don't really understand the point of it. But
well, he wasn't hungry, I guess was the point of it.
Yeah.
He was saving his appetite for later on, baby.
And then we got another segment with Shorty G. He was backstage icing, and then Adam Pearce asked him, did he really say that? Did he hear him right that he quits? And Shorty G said that he's done being Shorty G. He wants to be himself. The Olympic, All-American, whatever, national champion wrestler, Chad Gable, which we were just talking about, which I like. I think that's how it should be. I think, you know what I'm saying? I think that's who he should be.
Yeah, well, Adam Pearce seems to be the man that's the GM that's not the GM. He just kind of...
Right?
No one really has defined what his role is, but he's around an awful lot.
Yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing.
I thought for a second Chad Gable was just going to go by Gable because the name is Gable. But it was just a long dramatic pause. It was a tease. He will be Chad Gable. And I'll say this, I'm kind of making fun of it, but I think Chad Gable is phenomenal. I thought him and Jason Jordan together as a tag team, as green as they were fantastic. If they ever had time to gel and really solidify themselves in the ring and hit their peak, where that team could have gone before they decided to go the singles route with Jason Jordan. I thought Gable and Shelton Benjamin were a great team when they gave them a little run together in probably late 2017 or so.
Yep. Absolutely, I thought so. I think so too. So I'm kind of wondering what they're gonna do with it. I hope they actually let him be him, and I think it might work out better for him than this character. That's for sure.
I think. Well, you know what? I don't want to. As I know, I may come back to regret it. But I was going to say I don't think they could have done anything worse than Shorty G. But look at some of the other characters they've come up with for people.
That is true. From there, we got your girl Bayley in the ring.
Oh, yeah. Balls. She had the chair out with her.
Oh,
Balls and Axel. They're ready to go at it Sunday at Hell in the Cell.
We got a promo from her. It says Sasha isn't her boss. And then right then, cue the music. Sasha comes out, who looks so good. I'm not going to lie, man. Wow. Sasha, she's gorgeous. And
funny. It almost seems like since they've turned her babyface, they've made her more attractive.
Yeah,
it just seems like, and it's not like there's been this dramatic makeover, but I just, for whatever the reason, and you just saying it now, it just seems like I've noticed too. The past couple of weeks, she's come off as much prettier and more attractive.
Absolutely. Sasha tells Bayley to sign the contract, which they're promoting the match, but they haven't signed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever, we'll go with that. Sasha tells Bayley, sign the contract. Bayley tries to hit her with the chair. Sasha grabs the title. Then Sasha and her are fighting over the title. Sasha obviously gets it. Bayley gets kicked in the face, and then Sasha wraps the chair around her head and just keeps on forcing her. And finally, as Bayley can't take it anymore, signs the contract by basically scribbling something. I don't know. What do you think of the whole segment?
Well, every time Bayley cuts one of her tremendous promos to me, I sit there with my fingers around my cheek and my thumb under my chin, and I take it in, and to me it all sounds like blah, 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 blah. And that sums up what I've thought of Bayley since her main roster debut in 2016. I thought it was very boring. It made me have less interest in seeing the Hell in the Cell match. I thought Sasha's run-in was pretty good. I thought it was a decent enough angle to force her to sign the contract. I have no interest in seeing the match inside the cell. It takes away from, again, the violence that the cell is supposed to portray. I'm sure that Bayley Mahoney will have her chair with her. That may come into play, but I don't think we're going to see any blood in this one.
No, nothing. You don't think we're going to get any?
Probably not. Not in that one, at least.
Okay. All right. And then from there, we got the anticipated Law and Order Part 2 segment where Morris was on the stand, Ray was on the stand, Oscar was on the stand, which I don't understand. Is that just a joke with them? Like her just screaming out? Like, I don't really understand the point of her, but whatever.
I'm surprised in 2020 that no one, in this day and age where everyone is so sensitive about absolutely everything, that no one has made the point of how insulting it is to have her make a fool of her going out there screaming in Japanese every week.
Right.
It's insulting. I mean, I don't even know what she's saying. I don't speak Japanese. But to me, it seems like they're trying to mock her, and she's the best athlete they have on the female division on both shows. So
she's
go figure.
You know how it works. From there, we got to see your buddy player, holla holla, Teddy Long.
Made me smile.
Yep. We had Tucker on the stand. Then, from there, they had the little back and forth. Miz says he has some evidence, shows the evidence. Miz wins the case. Will face Otis. That's how they made the match. So at least you got something out of this whole segment.
Something that absolutely no one on the planet wants to see, but at least we got something out of it. It's like having sex and winding up with AIDS. At least you got something out of it.
Or an STD. I get you. Like I was going to say, I'm not saying it's a match everybody's looking forward to, but at least this segment went somewhere. You know what I mean? At least it went. I don't know how else to make it a positive. I guess sometimes you shouldn't. But yeah, we got a match out of it, which is going to be Otis versus Miz at Hell in the Cell for the briefcase on the line. So what are they going to do? Are they going to hang it up, or is it just a 1, 2, 3?
I hope it's not another ladder match.
Because they didn't state, but I feel like it should. I don't know.
They're probably still trying to figure it out as we're taping this podcast.
Okay.
But you know what, though? I looked at it like this. You get to see JBL. You get to see Ron Simmons. You get to see Teddy Long. If you're going to give someone some dog shit, why not spray it with a little potpourri? You know what I mean?
I get you. Hell yeah, I totally get. And then I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you had anything else. I was gonna.
The one thing I thought, and I'll say it again, this was just so stupid and ridiculous. If it was produced for elementary school kids, it might be fun. If it was a Saturday morning 10 a.m. type show on one of the network channels, it might be a fun little show. But this was on FS1 Sports Friday night.
I know.
I mean, do they really think that Lars and Otis is going to be what gets fans to watch again? I'm insulted as someone that has worked in wrestling. I'm insulted as someone that enjoys wrestling. And I'm really insulted as someone that's a WWE stockholder that this company that's investing my money can't do any better than that.
I hear you. I know exactly what you mean. I thought about that too, just because it's on a different channel too. So you're going to get different people clicking to this channel this time because, you know what I mean? It's a different channel. Let's see what's on.
Maybe the thought process was, well, you know what? The viewership is going to tank anyway, which, and that's not against WWE. It's just a fact. I mean, they're on a different channel. People aren't accustomed to going to search for it on FS1. So if the audience is 60% of what it was last week, I wouldn't knock the product for that. It's just the nature of the beast with the channel move.
I get what you're saying. From there, we got the Rollins versus Murphy match.
That was good.
I mean, they're both talented. I just don't think it's the right two together. I don't think them two, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm to be honest, I'm really getting tired of saying that. And I feel like I say it every week. Seth Rollins is great. But the Monday night, whatever night of the week Messiah is right now, it's one of the most boring, forced, fake characters in wrestling right now. Why do that to the guy? And, I felt bad. I don't know if I've said it to you on the show. I think I have with Matt, but and I was told by someone in WWE, he took great offense that I put that on our Twitter, and he wound up blocking us over it. It wasn't an insult. Yeah. This is, you're going back a couple of months now, but I don't remember the exact phrase, but it was along the lines of it's boring, it's forced, it's overproduced, it's uninteresting, nobody cares. And that's not an insult against Seth Rollins. I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the industry right now. It's just the Messiah gimmick it's not for him. I don't know of anyone that could pull this off. It's so boring and bland. It's just terrible. And there's nothing, and Murphy is solid. He really looked like he was going places with that Aleister Black program he had last year on Raw, but when they put him in that Messiah thing, they castrated him. AOP, those two basically got beheaded. Austin Theory's back in NXT. The whole thing is a complete and utter flop. It is time to end the Messiah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
damn it,
it's too much,
way too much, and it's on way too much.
But from that, you want to discuss the match a little bit. Mysterio's daughter was watching along the match. I mean, it was a decent match. Nothing to write home, like we already talked about.
No, and I'll say this. Aside from all the complaints where I just insulted these two individuals to death, and I'm going to add Ray to the list in a minute, but, I mean, it wasn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. It's just with people I'm not interested in seeing because the presentations are so bland and boring right now. On top of that, you make Rey Mysterio one of the great legends of professional wrestling in 2020. You continue to make him look like a complete and utter idiot because if Rey Mysterio had any common sense whatsoever, after everything that's gone on now for months, why would he continue to bring his family to the TV shows every week?
Right, exactly.
I mean,
there's no common sense.
With any common sense, how do you find logic in that?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing because every week it's the same thing with them. Well, stop bringing them.
And it's the same stupid line. Dominic comes out first. Oh, no, Aaliyah, stay away from him. After what he's done to our family, blah, 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 blah. And then Ray runs out with a kendo stick that just magically seems to be under the ring, or a chair, and it's this, and Seth walks off with a big grin on his face, and Buddy Murphy's just teasing he's going to be a baby face, hoping that Ray will shake his hand and do a photo op with him, and it just sucks every week. It sucked on Raw, and it sucks on SmackDown now. It sucks on SmackDown on Fox, and it sucked on SmackDown on FS1. But other than that, it was great.
That story too. It's not like it's been a great story. Like, they should know by now. It really wasn't a great story on Raw. Like, why bring that over to SmackDown?
The daughter has no emotion whatsoever. I mean, she's a pretty girl, but I mean, she's like a rice cake. You know what I mean? There's just nothing.
Yeah. Isn't she really young too? Like, why is she even involved?
They didn't call and ask my opinion, because believe me, if they did, I would tell them exactly what I just said over the past minute and a half.
I didn't know if you had like an idea why.
No, I have no idea where this came from. I'm going to guess that where Ray was re-signed for significant money at a shorter contract than most of the guys get nowadays. Maybe he wanted Dominic included in the package, which I can understand, because before Ray resigned, he was training to become a wrestler. As far as the daughter goes, I have no idea where that came from. They may have saw her at maybe WrestleMania or a pay-per-view and said, gee, she's pretty. Maybe we could put her with Murphy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
And honestly, between me and you, I don't really think, I don't see anything in Dominic either. Maybe later on, but he's not. You figure you know what it takes to be a wrestler. You see your father, but he's nothing. He's just. I would think you would want to be in shape if you know your father, what he looked like, and the path that he took to go. Why isn't Dominic training like that? Like, to be in shape, he just looks like a pile of shit.
The best thing they could do with him right now is get him off of television and have him train full time.
Yes.
At the Performance Center, and let people, he got a little smidgen of TV exposure. People are familiar with at least who he is, but before they become tired of him and he turns into the next Eugene or the next Zach Owen or the next Otis, and people turn on him something severe, just off him to Performance Center land for a few years and let him become a really good pro wrestler. Give him a chance to work out every day and to get into shape and to tan and to become very solid in the ring. I tell you, where I'm surprised is that I thought all along he was going to wind up joining Seth Rollins' faction.
Turning, yeah, I could see that now that you're saying it. Definitely, I could have seen that happening. I didn't think about it at the time, but yeah, absolutely, which would have probably even made more sense, but who knows? I don't know. But I'm glad you see it like me, because Dominic, to me, I just see him and I'm like, dude, your father was Rey Mysterio. He's a legend in the industry, and you look like a pile of crap. Like, what are you doing, dude? I just don't understand.
Him looking like that served its purpose once for SummerSlam. For him to be a regular character with that presentation is a big thumbs down.
And you know what I don't like is he's drafted, but then, like we said, a guy like Chad Gable, who's, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Got drafted, but a guy like Chad Gable doesn't. Like, I don't understand their logic thinking. Like, Dominic, I don't know. I just get blown away with some of these things they do, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. But a lot of it doesn't. So that's why. But yeah, like we said, we just Seth won, and then after the match, Alicia pulled up Murphy, and
is that her name, Alicia?
Alicia, isn't it, or Aaliyah?
I think it's Aaliyah.
All right, Aaliyah, whatever. Aaliyah,
we really
Aaliyah,
sound like insiders now. We don't even know her name.
No, I think because I wrote it. Yeah, you're right. It's Aaliyah. And what do you call it? From there, Aaliyah, what do you call it? And Murphy had this weird look. Did you see that stare they had? It was like an awkward stare. I didn't really understand it at all. But
sexual tension.
Yeah, like
it was like you on Tinder.
Okay, yeah. From that, they went. That was that. I mean, do you have anything else to add to that whole segment?
No, I think I said more than enough. Other than it was putrid. That's if I could sum it up in one word, putrid.
There you go. Hey, there you go. I'm not going to disagree with that. From there, before we went to commercial break, they had a guy knock on Roman Reigns' door. Heyman came out and told the guy, don't knock like that. That was a little too aggressive. And then they went to commercial, and then they came back. And then
you want to know why that was just such a small segment? but I thought it was just so effective in making Paul Heyman seem like a jerk.
Right.
And, they don't do that with heels enough. It's like with Seth Rollins. What do they do other than potentially put you to sleep with his promos? What do they do to make you really dislike and hate the guy? You know what I mean? Heyman came across like a jerk in a 10-second monologue like that. I thought that was very good in a very forgettable segment.
Speaking of Seth real quick, I don't know why they changed him. Like, they didn't need to. His gimmick was working for enough. They made at least try to improve his gimmick that he had. Now they
Seth Rollins?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Two words. Becky Lynch. When he went from being the WWE World Champion to becoming Becky's boyfriend, they castrated him. They removed his cock and balls.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think about that. That's true. Yeah, that's a good
Once
point.
he became second tier to her, he lost his manhood. Then they put him in there with The Fiend, and the Fiend crushed him. He lost his manhood even more. I'll never forget, and this is funny, I'm trying to think of how I can word this, but I remember speaking to someone that wrestled on Raw, and this is probably now last December. Do you remember the angle they did where Seth he hadn't officially turned heel yet, but he was in the back of an SUV, and for some reason, the chair was facing out the back window, and then Owens came at him with a baseball bat, and AOP got involved and whatnot. Well, not to sound like Joe Scoops, but I had the complete layout to the show, and I spoke to someone that was involved heavily in the angle at that time, and I said, "Do you know what you're doing on Raw on Monday?" And they said, "No, what?" And I laid out how that entire storyline was going to go, in the complete and utter confusion as they were trying to come up, the people trying to produce it were trying to come up with logic. Why would the seat be facing out the back window?
Right.
Have you ever seen an SUV
where
the seats face out the back? Well, anyway, I just thought that was kind of a funny anecdote.
Yeah,
that was right around the time he went from officially being regular Seth to becoming Messiah Seth. And I just remember how bad that angle was. I just remember the funny conversation talking to that wrestler in question that was involved in Raw each week and didn't even know that that's what they were going to be doing. But anyway, I don't even remember why that came up.
I feel like now that she's out of the picture, they should be changing him again back to, I don't know. I have no idea. Now that she's out of the picture, I feel like they should be doing something better for his character.
He's someone, if it was the olden days of professional wrestling, he would have been best served by going to a different territory for a couple of years to try and forget about this monstrosity. It's like, I always say, when did wrestling end? When the bell rang at WrestleMania 17. You've probably heard me say that many times at this point. With Seth Rollins, for him, it was like it's been nothing but down the toilet since the bell rang at WrestleMania 35 when his match ended in New York.
I can't disagree. It has. It's been. I'm not a huge fan of the Monday Night Messiah. At first, I was like, okay, maybe, but now it's just going too long, or maybe it's just a few. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but anyways.
No, he's got such a great look, and he's young, and he's athletic, and I mean it's just everything that's wrong with WWE wrapped up in one package, and it's unfortunate for him. Again, I know he took offense to that social media message, but it was not a personal knock on him at all. He can only work with the material that's given to him. That's not his fault.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally understand. From there, we came back from commercial break, and we had Roman came down the ring with Paul Heyman, and then he was in the ring. Jimmy came on the video and started talking, saying some stuff, and then Jay was behind Roman, attacked him. I kind of like how they set this up. Jay Uso hit Roman with the big splash, left Roman laying in the ring. The Usos met each other on the top of the stage, or whatever you want to call it, and Roman got up and basically asked him, can they live with their consequences if they quit, or say I quit? He can live with his if he has to, basically telling him that the family's going to, think this, and the family's going to think that, your cousin's going to think this. I don't know. Do you like how they're interacting with the family and all that inside with the story? This is the one match on the pay-per-view tomorrow night that I really want to see, period. Yeah, me too. I'm glad we both think the same guy. I say this, the angle they did last night didn't add to my interest in the match at all. Once the cage started, the cage started coming down, why did Jey Uso start climbing it to look at? I didn't really understand. I would have thought it would have been cooler if, you know how before they would climb all the way up to the top, at least during like when they're going off Raw, you'd see who am I thinking of right now? You know what I'm saying, when they used to climb at the end of Raw. Like, but he just stood on the second panel and started. I don't know.
Maybe they did that on Talking Smack that I missed. Maybe he finished his climb. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering, why not go all the way to the top? At least make it look cool. But nah, he's just in the second tier of it, just should run in his mouth, basically, flapping his gums at him. But I don't know. What did you think of the segment? Did you do it? It didn't do anything for you, you said, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I thought the Jimmy Uso hiding under the Uso COVID mask was kind of clever, even though you could tell it wasn't Jey Uso. But it was that part of it was a pretty good angle. It's just they built up these supposed consequences now for a few weeks, and I thought what was going to be the end result was, okay, you want a rematch, I'll give it to you, Hell in the Cell, I quit. If you win, you get the title, but if I win, Jimmy Uso gets fired. I thought that would have been kind of interesting. They never live up to those stipulations when someone's fired anyway, but to me, that's more interesting than we're going to throw you out of the family. I mean, in all honesty, who cares if they have Thanksgiving dinner together?
Right, and they're probably not going to have it this year together anyway.
Right, yeah. They'll Zoom their turkey.
Yeah, exactly. But that was SmackDown last night. What do you give it?
Like I said, the Reigns and Uso match was really the only thing on the pay-per-view I'm looking forward to. There was nothing done to make me more interested in the match. I love JBL and Ron Simmons and Teddy Long's cameos, but that was one of the most piss-poor angles I've seen this year. There was just nothing of any interest to the show. I mean, there was nothing done to make this pay-per-view more interesting other than add one match that I don't want to see at all. Again, maybe they didn't put the effort into it because it was on FS1 with the World Series on Fox. I found myself very bored if I was watching that show for pure enjoyment as opposed to, trying to watch it from beginning to end to take notes on it for this. I would have changed the channel very early. Last week I gave it 8 out of 10. This week I gave it 4 out of 10.
I was going 5. I was going middle of the road. So again, we pretty much
pretty close.
Yeah. I don't know. I like I said, it didn't really do anything for me. I already know what's good. The matches that I wanted to see already. I was hoping maybe some build up for that, but it was really nothing. Like you said, that Lars and Otis man made me. I was like, what am I watching right now? But I totally agree. It wasn't anything to write home about. I think a 5 is being pretty lenient.
You're being very generous, I think.
Yeah,
it's not even Christmas yet.
No.
All right.
Exactly. But that was SmackDown.
Well, and fans, that is just the tip of the iceberg because in now less than 15 minutes away, we're going to be back live in studio doing a Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory watch-along. I haven't seen Impact in quite a while, so I'm interested to see how this pay-per-view takes shape. I know Dave follows it much more than I do, and Mr. Sacco should be back from his tour of leaves. And then at 11 o'clock, after Bound for Glory goes off the air, to get you ready for tomorrow night, we have a watch-along of the 1997 WWF Bad Blood pay-per-view, which featured the very first Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. It was a very interesting night, and for the wrong reasons. It was also a time when Nitro was destroying Raw in the ratings each and every week. On Monday night, it was the time when the Attitude Era was really starting to develop. So a really interesting pay-per-view to sit through, probably more interesting than what we'll see tomorrow night. But have no fear. Have no fear, fellow wrestling fans. Tomorrow night, just before 7 o'clock, we'll also be back live in the studio. Me, Dave, and Matt will be talking and watching along with Hell in the Cell 2020. And if that doesn't put you to sleep, if you're still awake when it's all said and done, even better than that, WWE Hall of Famer Brutus the Barber Beefcake will be back in studio at 11 p.m. for a special edition of Wrestling Insiders where he shoots on the year 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. So a big couple of nights of productions for us, buddy.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm excited for the Bound for Glory tonight. And then I'm excited for Hell in the Cell tomorrow. I enjoy doing them. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good night.
And I'm sorry.
Good 2 nights.
Two nights. Big weekend.
Back to back.
And for the fans at home, if I forgot to throw it out there, I usually like to get it in with my plugs. I'm not sure if I did, but if you watched SmackDown last night, whether you're watching live in the premiere at 7 o'clock tonight or you're watching it afterwards in the archives, let us know what you thought of SmackDown on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What did you think of SmackDown this week? We're always interested in your feedback, so sometimes we can try and formulate our episodes around your preferences.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Dave, maybe we'll have an energy drink and we'll see these fine folks in, 5-10 minutes or so?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good to me.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you for joining us for our SmackDown review. We'll be back in studio live on YouTube and Facebook at 8 o'clock for the Impact Wrestling Watch-Along. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours, be well.